So, I might just be a little bit of a contrarian here, but I really genuinely do prefer Resident Evil 3 to Resident Evil 2 in the remake category. I just think it flows so much better. It's just a much better game to play than 2, which involves so much tracking and backtracking and planning and blah 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 yada yada yada. Let me shoot the zombies. Let me just get into the thing and do the thing. And you get to do that in Resident Evil 3 so much more. And Resident Evil 3 VR just works so much better for a lot of really minute reasons. A lot of the small details just work better in Resident Evil 3. It's the same overall mod, but the game accommodates it so much better. First off, there's the technical aspects. Resident Evil 3, by default, already has a lot of higher quality textures built into the game, like VR-ready textures, so you just don't have to go out of your way modding the game to get it into a state where you actually want to look at it in VR. There's also less head bob, so same thing going on there. There's also a bigger emphasis on gameplay over cutscenes, so you're not ripped out of your head nearly as often as you are in Resident Evil 2, and even when you are, it's not nearly as jarring. There aren't nearly as many cuts in the scenes as there are in 2. It's a lot smoother usually. Not completely smooth, not completely without jank, but, you know, better. It's better. And the gameplay isn't nearly as focused on horror as Resident Evil 2, but it does just flow so much smoother. And that's just me. That's just me saying that I like Resident Evil 3 more, I know, but it's a valid point. It's a valid point. Okay, so Resident Evil 3, it's just designed to press the player harder. But this also allows for much greater skill expression through combat, and playing that in VR hikes that up to a whole new level. One of the best parts that I've gone through so far is the power plant mission in the early game. Well, yeah, VR hilariously reveals just how bad the camera tricks are in the cutscenes. The fact that you constantly have to have your head swiveling around to stay alert from attacks from every angle makes VR the perfect choice for heightening the tension of these moments. You can whip your shotgun around faster than ever, but doing so involves actually moving your body around, carefully aiming the barrel, and praying that you don't miss. Meanwhile, you pretty much have to sacrifice all situational awareness in a sequence that's all about being aware of your surroundings. It is terrifying and fantastic and fun all at once, and it's just this series of trade-offs that makes playing Resident Evil 3 in VR incredibly entertaining, and almost every sequence just naturally plays to the strengths of VR somehow. Running from Nemesis can be frustrating at first since you can't really look at him as you move around to see the telegraphs of his attack, but I found this actually really fun after a while, having to look over my shoulder and listen carefully to his audio cues for the well-timed dodge, and learning to interpret the world by more than just what I could see in the moment. I know, I'm just describing basic situational awareness that like a 5-year-old would be capable of in real life, but doing it in VR is this whole other mental exercise that you have to learn and get used to. It's like relearning how to exist. It's just so damn fun. And as I mentioned earlier, Resident Evil 3 already has VR quality textures just baked in. But add to that a much higher focus on visual spectacle than Resident Evil 2, and you just have a world that I loved being in. It might be a post-apocalyptic spectacle, mind you, but there's just so much love and attention in every corner of this world that I just couldn't help but admire it. It's so beautiful. I know I just keep gushing about how great it is, but I really enjoyed Resident Evil 3 in VR, and I think the best that I can do to endorse it is talk about my experience playing these games to talk about them for these little brief reviews. When I finished what I thought I needed to experience to talk about Resident Evil 2, I tried playing a little bit more of it, but I just couldn't. It's so awkward and it's so pained. It's such a difficult game to work through playing in VR, and it just doesn't feel like it plays to the strengths of the medium nearly as well. I got about halfway through Leon's campaign. I just didn't want to do anymore, and that does speak, admittedly, again, to my just not preferring Resident Evil 2 all that much. But Resident Evil 3, I hit that halfway point in like no time flat while playing for what I'm talking about here, and I fully intend to go back and finish it. It is just so goddamn fun. Now, I'll admit, it's not entirely without drawbacks. There's the aforementioned jankiness in cutscenes and sacrifice of situational awareness, but worse is that a couple sequences just kinda don't really work at all. Mostly what I ran into was the second Nemesis chase scene, where he decapitates the poor toy uncle statue. In flat screen, you just run away from the head. No problem. Easy peasy. But in this, I had to, run in a weird way, because if you turn around to run straight away from it, some sort of trigger goes off and kills you immediately. And if you hold the joystick just away from the thing in the direction you think you would need to move, you kind of run in towards a weird corner towards the donut shop, but you die anyways. So you have to hold the joystick almost left and towards the decap attack head coming at you to get away. It feels really weird, and it took me a lot of deaths to figure this out. It was really frustrating. But that was the biggest problem I had while playing the mod. And all in all, it's just an easy recommend for me. It is so good. Let me know if you find these interesting, these little VR mod talks. I might cover some more of them. It's fun to see just how people keep finding ways to cram VR into games that were never meant for it, and how some work so much better than others just by really small details and things that you would never really notice when you're playing the game through normally. It's really fascinating to me. Also, I got a Discord set up. I'll try and keep some of my thoughts about stuff that I'm working on. Right now, on my long-term projects, I'm working on a retrospective of all of the Xeno games. Absolutely all of them. It's going to take it's going to be a long time. And right now, I'm a third of the way through writing about Xenogears. I finished playing it last week, but I've only gotten about a third of the way through writing my full thoughts on it. It's a lot better than I remember it being, if I'm going to be entirely honest. I was really genuinely surprised, but we'll get to that when I finally get around to releasing the however long video it's going to be of this. It's probably going to be real long, at least 8 hours. But I'm excited for that. I think it's gonna be fun. Fun and stupid and pointless, but also kind of beautiful in that way. And I really look forward to having it done and just doing it at all. I really feel incredibly motivated to work on it. It's just such a great time. Imagining doing something so stupid as talking about all of those games in a video that will, I honestly think at this point it's probably gonna be 10 hours long. I don't know that anyone's gonna watch it, but I'm having fun doing it. So yeah, there's that. If you're interested in that, links below, and of course I'll have the link to the RE3 mod and the VR Conversion Discord as well, if you want to go over and talk to those folks and see, because the reason I'm linking that Discord as well is that they have links to all of the VR projects on there and a pretty decent database of what is being worked on at the moment. So if you want all of the VR mods in one place, you can check that out. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now.